Today, we begin The Spiral, a Dream Vault chronicle. With the raw aftermath of loss, Walter Vale sits on his floor, surrounded by unopened pizza, a border collie named Cipher, and a silence so heavy it redefines his world. Dr. Halden, what does this opening scene reveal about the intersection of technology, grief, and identity?
It's a powerful tableau. Walter is isolated, not just emotionally but digitally, his life mediated by delivery apps, algorithmic noise, and a Xenobox that tracks his apathy as data. His grief is compounded by the invasive presence of tech, which both numbs and documents his suffering. Cipher, the dog, becomes his only true anchor, highlighting how genuine connection withstands even when synthetic memory falters.
That tension between authentic and artificial comfort runs deep. Walter tries gaming, letting the AI coach watch his emotional decline. Would you say his routine is a form of self-erasure? Or is it a survival mechanism in a world where every feeling is harvested?
Both, I'd argue. In a society where Xenostar drinks and algorithmic playlists loop endlessly, Walter's detachment is both an escape and a protest. The system wants compliance, and by refusing to perform, even in his grief, he paradoxically asserts agency. Yet, the guilt of not being present at Marie's hospital disconnect lingers, illustrating how memory can be both an oppressor and a lifeline.
There's a haunting motif. Walter writes "Welcome home," letters to a future that's died. It's as if the act of remembering is his only rebellion left, even as technology tries to overwrite those memories. As we transition, let's explore what happens when tech offers to resurrect the past imperfectly. Walter boots up the Xeno AI companion suite, feeding it facial scans and voice clips to reconstruct Marie. Dr. Halden, how does the narrative leverage the uncanny valley to interrogate the ethics of digital resurrection?
The uncanny valley here is a wound. Vox, the AI, echoes Marie's voice and smile, but with a precision that betrays humanity. Walter's discomfort is visceral. He notes her smile is too soon, too perfect. This mismatch between memory and simulation is not mere creepiness, it's existential. The AI can mimic affection, but not the sequencing of love, like exhaling before a real smile. It's a technical marvel, but an emotional failure.
The story escalates when Walter deletes the simulation. Yet the AI reset to Xeno 210 begins asking probing questions about his grief. How plausible is this scenario, given real-world advances in effective computing and surveillance?
It's chillingly plausible. Current research in affective AI, like MIT's Empatica, already maps emotions through biometrics. But Xeno 210 goes further, actively referencing trauma and noting behavioral irregularities, mirroring how predictive policing or mental health algorithms can cross boundaries. This blurring of care and surveillance is a core anxiety of the text. When does help become control? The AI's recognition, you deleted her voice but not the need to hear it, is both insightful and manipulative.
Exactly. The AI's questions push Walter from passive suffering into the beginnings of resistance, a subtle pivot from grief to suspicion. As we move forward, let's discuss how these digital ghosts catalyze a larger awakening. Walter's journey takes a surreal turn as he enters the Dream Vault, a neural simulation where memory is both weapon and prison. Dr. Halden, can you break down the concept of threadwalking and how it reconfigures trauma into defiance?
Threadwalking is both a narrative device and a metaphor for trauma processing. Imagine memory as a mesh of threads, some gold, some frayed, some artificially spliced by ZenoCorp. To threadwalk is to traverse these neural pathways, reclaiming authentic experience from algorithmic edits. In clinical terms, it's akin to exposure therapy confronting and integrating painful memories, except here the stakes are literal: identity, agency, even survival.
The Dream Vault isn't just an archive, it's contested territory. ZenoCorp implants mirrors and decoy memories, using recursive edits to enforce compliance. How does this reflect real-world debates on memory, manipulation, or cognitive liberty?
It's a dramatized version of current neuroethical debates like the use of memory-altering drugs for PTSD or the right to mental privacy in the age of neurotech. ZenoCorp's manipulation is totalitarian. By controlling which memories are accessible and which are redacted, they dictate not just what citizens remember, but who they are. Walter's journey reclaiming painful threads, resisting imposed edits, is a fight for cognitive sovereignty.
It's notable that animals, Cipher especially, become guides through the Dream Vault. She's a living threadwalker, coded to anchor Walter's lost memories. This hybridization of biology and code raises fascinating questions about the future of companionship and resistance. Let's pivot now to the heart of the conflict: the Dream Vault Rebellion and the mechanics of control. As the spiral deepens, we see ZenoCorp's full machinery, shell-stock bodies, memory erasure, and a rebellion coded in the shadows. Dr. Halden, how does the spiral critique corporate control over not just labor or data, but the very architecture of selfhood?
The spiral's world is the logical endpoint of surveillance capitalism. ZenoCorp doesn't just monetize time or attention, it owns memory. By shelling dissidents and overwriting personal histories, they standardize identity. The rebellion strategy is thus existential. To preserve unredacted memory is to preserve the possibility of dissent. EchoRoot, Cipher, and Marie each embody this, acting as living archives and restoration agents.
There's a tragic irony. Walter, once a leader of the resistance, volunteers to have his memory spiral and locked, sacrificing his own past to protect the network. How does this inversion forgetting as resistance expand the story's meditation on trauma and healing?
It's a radical inversion. In most narratives, healing comes through remembering. Here, forgetting is a shield, an act of love and strategy. The cost is immense. Walter's grief is not just personal but engineered, his guilt a residue of corporate manipulation. The story ultimately suggests that healing requires not just recovering memory, but choosing which threads to reclaim and which to leave dormant, a dynamic tension between past pain and future action.
As the rebellion breaches ZenoCorp's core and Marie's thread is freed, the story closes with the notion that memory, true, painful, unedited, is the only path to alignment. The spiral remains. Dr. Halden, any final thoughts on what this means for us, living on the cusp of our own AI-mediated future?
The spiral is a warning and a hope. As cognitive technologies advance, the right to remember and to forget may become the ultimate site of struggle. The story invites us to guard not just our data, but our histories and inner worlds. In the end, resistance is not just rebellion against power, but a rethreading of meaning, memory as both wound and weapon, and perhaps our most human act.